Hi, Coach. Thank you for joining us today. We can go ahead and get started with questions if you're ready.
Yes, I'm ready. Go ahead, Kayla.
Great. First question will be from John Worrow.
Hey, Sean, welcome back to North America.
Good to be back. Good to be back in the States here.
There you go. Hate to be asking an injury update question for the second time in 2 Mondays, but can you give us an update on Matt and Daquan?
Yeah, both are going to be out. Matt has a leg injury that requires surgery, and Daquan has a pec that requires surgery.
Is there a timetable? Do you expect them to miss the remainder of the season?
Don't know all of that yet, but that's really all the information I have right now.
What does that do to your defense, losing 2 more key players after, having to deal with, Tre'Davious being, going down last week?
Yeah, I mean, I applaud the guys, being down probably 5 starters during the game. They played hard. I mean, they gave it everything they had. But listen, injuries are not an excuse. It's the next man up approach, and you do what you're called to do, and that's to step up and step in when somebody goes down like this.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Alex Brasky with TV Daily News. I know you mentioned AJ's confidence a few times as something that's led to his increased performance this year. Is there anything else that you've noticed from him? And just could you speak on his ability to step up in a moment where you needed him most yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was a big momentum shift for us in the way that he was just really, the whole front was playing very intense. And again, we were down some numbers there. Vaughn was on the pitch count. And so those guys really, their rep count was extremely high for defensive linemen in particular, a few of them. And AJ being one of them gave it all he had and made some huge plays. And I really believe it comes down to his confidence and the preparation this year that he's putting in. His process during the week is getting him in position to have that success on game day.
Now, the running game has really taken a step forward seemingly this year. Wasn't the case yesterday. James Cook, negative yardage. Now that you've had a chance to watch the tape, what do you feel led to some struggles in the running game against the Jaguars?
Well, you've got to be able to control the line of scrimmage early in the football game, and I think establishing that line of scrimmage, we had that first run, the first play of the game, which we got 5 yards on, but after that, it was tough sledding, and so we've got to go back and look at that, and it's something we've got to do a better job of moving forward for sure.
All right, thanks.
Hi, Sean. You said that Vaughn was on a pitch count, and I know he had 20 snaps. I'm assuming that's what the pitch count was. Was that a hard number going into the game? Was it something that you took a look at as the game was going because you were losing players? How did that work?
Well, we wanted to make sure that we didn't have a setback in Vaughn's situation. We didn't want to do that for sure. That was number one. And then, he was right at that 20 number, give or take. And so Coach Eric Washington shut him down. And then he had a chance to watch and help coach on the sideline and lead from the sideline at that point the rest of the game.
And going into this week, how do you think Vaughn came out of this game, then how you'll proceed with him going forward?
Right. I mentioned this last week, Sal, getting one's first practice underneath his belt last week was important. And then now his first game. And so from here, he'll just continue to build week to week.
And then do you have any update on the guys who did miss? Christian Benford, Greg Rousseau, and Shaq Lawson are the guys specifically I'm referring to.
Yeah, they are all improving. They'll all be day to day. So we'll see how it goes.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Sean. I was curious. Yesterday in the game, you put Dorian Williams in after Matt Milano went out. You went to Tyrell Dotson after that. You talked a little bit about it after the game, but what went into the change? And then after you got a chance to look at both of them on tape, what did you make of their performances?
Right. We just felt like Dorian being in there, he was struggling a little bit with some of the tackling. So we felt like at the time, hey, let's give T-Dot a chance in there and try and calm it down a little bit. T-Dot being the more experienced player, obviously, in this situation. I thought T-Dot came in and did some good things. And then like Dorian had some had some challenges as well. And so, at the end of the day, they're both good football players for us, and we'll both be called on in the future to help us out here.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Coach Mookie Arkins, welcome to Sports Radio. Welcome back.
Hey, Mookie, how you doing?
I'm good, Coach. I'm good. I'm glad to, be back on U.S. soil for you guys. I know it was quite the trip for you, but nevertheless, I mean, it is what it is. Not enough balance yesterday. How do you guys get back to being more balanced, Coach?
Are you talking run pass?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, it's something you try and shoot for every week. You're not always going to get it. I mean, sometimes you stick with what's working. In this case, we really didn't find our rhythm offensively until midway through or just at the top of the fourth quarter there. So something we've got to establish earlier, getting into a rhythm offensively, whether it be via the run or the pass.
Absolutely, Coach. And on the flip side of that, I mean, you was dialing it up yesterday. Definitely dialing it up. But to get that balance on the defensive side as far as run and pressure, where do you feel that you could have did more in certain areas?
Well, you're always looking back at things and saying, "Hey, I wish I had that call back," or what have you. At the end of the day, we're going to do what we feel like it's necessary, what it takes to win the game. And Lawrence was a guy who had struggled going into the game with pressure and different types of coverage, and we threw different looks at him and things. And I thought through the better part of three and a half quarters there, we had him at 11 points, and then I think we just wore it down after that. We didn't do a good enough job. I didn't do a good enough job putting the guys in position, and we missed some tackles and some plays that were there to be made. But those are things we'll learn from and use going forward here.
One more, Coach, if I may. Depth at linebacker, I know you got guys from within that definitely could get the job done, but would you look outside in free agency to some linebackers like Rashad Evans, Anthony Barr, those type of guys?
Yeah, we'll start inside first, and then if need be, we'll go outside, but we'll start inside first. That's how we always go.
Yes, sir. See you at practice, Coach.
Sean, it's Kim Jones. I'm thrilled to say hello to you again. How are you?
I'm doing good, Kim. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Just wondering about your defensive front, and I understand how injuries change things, obviously for teams, but it certainly seemed like that front that you started the season with and perhaps even have most of now is really formidable and the kind of front maybe that you'd been looking for a number of years. If I'm wrong on that, I want you to correct me, but that from a distance is how that seems.
Last season, we were, I think, playing at a pretty high level, Vaughn going down. We had some other injuries that contributed to some things. I felt like one of the main injuries last year for us was a calf injury. Everyone had a calf injury last year. It's just funny how that works, right? There's always one injury that continues to show up every year. But in this case, as the guys got off, in week one, they got off to a pretty good start, and then it's infectious and it just rolls from there. Their confidence has been high, and they're playing well together, right? The kind of the chemistry between the four that are rushing together, and I think that's been really fun to watch.
And if I may, you're going to see obviously Brian Dable and his staff, on the other sideline. Have you thought at all about what that would be like, or reflected at all on that?
From going against Coach Dable.
Yeah.
I'm happy for Brian. I mean, he seems extremely happy. He's earned that head coaching opportunity, did a fabulous job in year one, and a lot of their staff over there who were with us, and Brian took over there, as well as Joe Shane, who does an amazing job as a general manager. Real sharp personnel guys. So they're in good hands, and it'll be a big test for us here.
My best to your family, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise, Kim.
Hey, Sean, this is Mark Canizaro from the New York Post. I appreciate you doing this,
Sure.
including us. With regard to Dave's, obviously you guys are going through your own adversity issues with injuries and whatnot. He's had some issues here in New York. I'm curious, as well as you know him, how you feel he will handle or handles this adversity. And just as a follow-up, when things are going sideways, as they have been here, how difficult as a coach is it to stick to the plan and make sure that your locker room sticks to that and believes in it, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, I mean, Coach Dable, he's been around the league a long time. He's worked in multiple places at the college and pro level, and I'm sure he's going to do a phenomenal job of leading that group through it. We all go through injuries. We've had our fair share. As you mentioned, I'm sure he's had his fair share, and listen, it's part of the league, right? Part of the journey of the season, and you got to find a way through it.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Yes, good afternoon, Coach McDermott, George Radney, Challenger Community News. Welcome back to Buffalo.
Thanks, George. Good to see you, buddy.
Yes, indeed. You too. Two questions for you. One, on the pass interference, not pass interference, but was called unnecessary roughness on Jordan Poyer on that third down when you had Jacksonville pinned in their own and within their own goal line there. And even when you saw it live, you could see that the receiver initiated the contact with the defender, in this case being Jordan Poyer, and Poyer had his shoulder. It was no helmet to helmet contact whatsoever on the play, and yet they still called unnecessary roughness. Are they able to review those type of situational calls?
Yeah, I mean, those are tough. I mean, sometimes, they're bang plays, George, and it's the optics of it, I guess, what it looks like and versus what it is, are sometimes two different things. And I understand always wanting to protect the head and neck area. That's certainly important. In this case, I felt like it was in a little bit of Jordan almost protecting himself because the player was about to come into his legs right there, so he had to brace. So anyway, I mean, listen, that was definitely a momentum shift in the game. We were going to have them backed up there, punting out of their own end zone. So that's the way to go. That's the way the cookie crumbles, as they say. So, but regardless of what happens, you got to reset and get yourself back ready for the next play.
Yeah, and wasn't the ball tipped on that play too, where it would have made it no harm, no foul?
Well, Micah tipped it. I believe Micah tipped it. He was the underneath defender, I believe, if I'm correct on that, and Jordan was in the post. So, yeah.
Well, I thought that automatically negates any type of contact unless it was something really, malicious or something.
Well, I think that's what they had in mind when they ruled the way they did.
Ah, okay. And last question, on the surface, was there any concerns with that surface? Because on TV, it looked really sticky. It looked like a lot of your guys' shoes were sticking to the turf. They wasn't really a fluid motion. Was there any concerns during pregame or walkthroughs on there?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have injuries, you're always, hate to see injuries happen. But at the end of the day, we're not making excuses. They had to play on the same surface we did. So at the end of the day, we move forward from here.
All right, Coach. Thank you for your time. Good luck this coming Sunday.
Yeah, thank you, George.
Hey, Sean, AJ Feldman here in Rochester. Thanks for taking the time. With Matt Milano out of the lineup, whether it's Terrell or Dorian, you're kind of missing that veteran presence in the linebacker. Not a whole lot of starts on the inside. Do you ever see that changing any way that you call your defense to maybe simplify for them, or do you just kind of plug and play and move forward from there?
Well, I mean, I think you always have to be sensitive to the players that you have out there in terms of knowing who you have out there, what they do best, and what can equip them best to play at their best, right? So I think that's part of putting them in the position that you try and do every week via the game plan and then how you call it. So you need to be aware of it. Very confident in all those players that you mentioned, their names, and we'll just see how the week unfolds here.
And what kind of maybe additional responsibility does this put on Terrell, working with a different linebacker in the middle there, and how much confidence do you have him going forward and doing that?
Well, he's a young player himself, so he's going to have the added challenge now of building that rapport that he once was starting to build with Matt, and now he'll need to build it with the other two guys here in a quick fashion here. So I'm very confident in him and his ability to do that, as well as their ability to work alongside of TV.
All right. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Sure.
Hello, Coach. I was just wondering, Coach Peterson said that he'd like to see every team should spend back-to-back weekends in London. Is that something that you would consider?
Well, as I said after the game, we have to evaluate everything. Not just what went on the field, but off the field in terms of our overall plan and the research that we did to put us in that position. I think the one thing that is not out there to even to research is when one team goes over, 12 days ahead and the other team comes over, following that. So we didn't have much data on that to my knowledge. And I've got that secondhand information through the people who did the research for us here. So listen, at the end of the day, they outplayed us, they outcoached us. We didn't do enough to win, and that's the bottom line. We move forward from here and learn from it.
So there wouldn't be anything that you would do differently. Say you'd played a team that arrived on the Friday like you did.
Well, again, we would start over again with our process and the research that we would do again, just to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And I know Baltimore's over there or going over there now, I believe, and I think Tennessee's coming later, if I'm not mistaken. So I think, again, the more people do this, where there's a team playing and staying, I think there'll be more data available, right, to study it and see what works best. And so from what I've been told, in order to really acclimate, you've got to get out there 12 plus days ahead of time. And of course we had to play a game the week before, so we weren't able to do that. So, but again, we've moved on. Congrats to the Jaguars. We're looking at the Giants.
Thank you.
Yeah, hey coach, just one more if I could. Josh has been one of the most efficient quarterbacks. Stefan is flourished. Gabe Davis catching touchdowns. Is there any pressing need to get any of these other weapons involved? Some of the guys you picked up through free agency, along with the rookie Kincaid.
I would say yes to all. I mean, we need to get more people involved. We need to get the ball moved around. I mean, it's just, Dawson and Dalton both have some injuries right now. Dalton's in the concussion protocol, and Dawson has a wrist injury that he's working through, and we'll see where it goes right now. So we'll see what their availability is this week. But yes, to your question.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
That's all the questions for today. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Caleb.
Hi, Ken. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. We'll go ahead and get started with questions. Everybody, please raise your hand if you have a question. First question will be from Mark.
Okay, Ken, the Jaguars did a lot of pressure. Did they pressure maybe a little more than you were expecting? And why didn't you handle it better?
No, I think obviously that they're a team that gives you some different looks, whether it's pressure, whether it's different zone looks, man looks. So they do a lot of mixing it up to try to keep offenses off balance. And I think that there were some situations where we executed well and operated our hots, and times where we picked it up and took advantage of it. And then obviously there was times where we could have executed better. So I think it's just one of those things where we just got to kind of make sure we're going about things the right way from a communication standpoint. Make sure everybody's on the same page. And then if we're wrong together, and we know what our issues are. So I think some of those things that came up are things that we go back and we look at, and we just make sure that everybody's on the same page. And when we are, then we generally have a good opportunity on each play.
Thank you.
Hey, Ken, in the years that you, Josh, and Brian Dable all kind of worked together, what impact did you see that Dable kind of had on Josh, and what of it do you still kind of see today in what you're dealing with, Josh?
Well, I think just, obviously building our system, building the foundation for what we do, and creating that comfort level with Josh within the system. You see, day in and day out, just understanding the comfort level, what we're doing that have been day one concepts for him, that he's comfortable with. So I think that's something that obviously Dave's did a great job coming in here, putting together a great system that we've been able to build off of, and continue to grow throughout time. So I think that for one, and then two, just the mentality, just that approach each and every week of grinding, of coming out, to do whatever it takes to win a football game. I think he really instilled that in Josh, and Josh takes that to heart, and that's really who Josh is. Just giving his heart and soul, each and every play, each and every game, and a lot of that was Dave's personality as well.
I know you've always wanted to make the offense kind of your own, but what kind of remnants still kind of exist from what you guys ran when Brian was here to carry over into what you guys do today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he laid a great foundation for us, and there's a lot of things that are still there, and then there's a lot of things that we've expanded within those things that might be day one things that Dave's had here. So I think it's been a really good blend of obviously what Dave's did, and then where we've kind of taken things and expanded things, and and just tried to keep things as uniform as possible, for Josh and for the guys when we transitioned. So it's just been a good, I think, opportunity to really kind of expand, grow in some different areas, and continue to help us become as unpredictable as possible for defenses.
Appreciate it, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ken, AJ Feldman here in Rochester. Thanks for taking the time. First off, Dalton Kincaid, 5 weeks into the season, where have you kind of seen his progression as the season's gone along, and kind of an update on his development as he goes forward?
Yeah, I think Dalton's really kind of grown into a player that we could definitely move around, do some different things with. Very good route runner, good feel for the game. So I think it's something that we need to continue to grow. Need to continue to make sure that he's a big part of this offense, and continue to grow that. So I think it's something that he's really kind of got a great feel now, building, and just with every rep in a game, whether it's a specific route or somebody else doing a route, and him learning from that. That library will just continue to grow for him based off the looks that he's seeing. So, there's going to be times where, a route might not be perfect, but, he's just got that feel to kind of make it work. And so as he kind of builds that library of reps, it'll just get better and better for him. And just the reaction time will be quicker and quicker based off of what he's seeing.
So far among tight ends this year, he has one of the lowest depth of targets on the season. Do you see a reason why he's been more comfortable using him in the shorter and intermediate games? And do you see expanding kind of his route tree as a priority for him going forward?
Yeah, no, I definitely think there's room to grow that route tree, and get him more vertical on some things. We've tried a couple times, just it hasn't worked out based on the defense or some factors, but it's definitely something that we can continue to grow and improve on, just as from a system standpoint.
All right, thanks for your time, Ken. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Hey, Ken, you talk about, how much you've evolved this thing since Brian Daboll left. I'm curious, as you continue your, building, your rapport as a play caller with Josh, what's it been like for the two of you this year, trying to strike a balance between, where he's been so successful in shotgun, and then when you have him line up in center, and obviously the early season success you've had on play action, are you happy with the balance that you struck, particularly in this last game?
Yeah, I think that balance is important. I think to be able to be diverse in where you're putting the quarterback is an important step for us in protection, and creating a different looks for the defense. So I think that's something that is a balance that we have to strike. At times it's it's something that you gotta work through, because like you said, Josh has been so effective in the gun, doing some things in the gun and throughout his career. That it's a definite balance that we have to strike to make sure that he feels comfortable in what we're doing. And yet we're also, doing what's best for him and the offense. So there's a definite balance there. But at the same time, we want to make sure, we're doing whatever we need to do in order for us to win football games. And, Josh's comfort level obviously is paramount in that.
In a game, and this might be more like in the weeds question, and you don't have to go on and on about it and go into too much scheme stuff, but do you feel like early in a game, like if he's having success under shotgun or under center, seeing it like multiple times where you guys are having successful plays, would you lean more into it over the course of the game? How much do you take feedback from him too with how the success of it under center is happening early in games?
Well, you definitely, I think you always want input and feedback from, especially the quarterback position, just to get a feel for, all right, what's he feeling out on the field, because he's the guy who's got to pull the trigger. So I think that feedback is important. And, I think when you are working from under center and there are successful plays, there's going to be times where you want to get back to it, but you got to kind of go back to striking that balance, just to make sure you're not getting, too lopsided one side or the other.
Thanks, Ken. Really appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah, hey Ken, Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News. Your running game had really gotten going early in the season, obviously a setback yesterday. What led to that from your perspective?
Yeah, I think, we just couldn't get in a rhythm. Obviously we had the 3 and outs, early in the game. And when you're not extending the drives with first downs, it creates that a little bit of a, lopsidedness that you can't get in that flow. So I think that was something that kind of came up last game that, definitely hurt that rhythm of the offense of being able to, hey, run, pass, play action, drop back, mix it up. So we just got to be able to find that rhythm a little bit earlier where, we were able to find it at times, but just not consistently enough. And so, I think that was an important thing for us to make sure, hey, let's make sure we're staying on track, staying on schedule, staying in a rhythm, and make sure we're doing those things so that we can remain multidimensional on offense.
You were able to get Deontay Hardy involved on a couple of big plays, I believe, for the first time this year, especially that big one in the fourth quarter. What did you take away from those 2 plays that might allow you to increase his involvement in the offense, particularly getting those chunk plays from him moving forward?
Yeah, I think obviously he's an explosive player. He's a good route runner. He can do a lot of good things for us. So getting a feel for him inside and outside, I think has been important as we went through training camp and everything, and making sure we've got him in the right role. So it's something that I think we can continue to expand. We've got a lot of guys on this roster who could definitely help us. When you talk about Deontay, when you talk about Trent, when you talk about Dalton and Dawson, and obviously our running backs and James Cook and Latavius and these guys. So I think, we've got to do a good job, making sure that we're putting our guys in position to make plays and moving guys around, so they're not locked into doing just one thing. But at the end of the day, with one football, it's obviously hard to create opportunities for the entire unit as much as you would like to. So we gotta just make sure that we're staying balanced in how we're attacking teams and trying to get targets to guys as much as we can.
All right, thank you.
Coach Dorsey, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Coach, 2nd and 1. You do a toss to James Cook. You're asking Gabe Davis to block a defense in at that situation. Why not use a tight end in that situation, Coach?
Yeah, we had a kind of a pin and pull scheme there to come down the end and try to get around. And obviously the safety there did a good job shooting the gap and bending and getting back on James there when we were hoping to get outside. So I thought at the end of the day, Gabe did a good job of paying the end and making sure that guy, couldn't make the play. The safety who was blitzing inside there did a nice job of bending and getting around. So, you look at all these things though, after the game and say, hey, was that the call in that situation? Would I do that again? And kind of evaluate from there and make sure that again, that you're putting your guys in the right position, not only personnel wise, but just philosophically in terms of the style of play called in those types of situations.
Absolutely, coach. And 2-point conversions, you had two opportunities there. How do you feel about the execution on those 2-point conversions?
I think obviously I think we had the one and, we did, we had an opportunity there. We got, Khalil one-on-one space right there. The corner did a nice job falling off and making the play. So obviously at the end of the day, when things don't work out the way you want to, you go back and you look at it and, go back to the drawing board a little bit and make sure that, you kind of come back the next time in a situation like that to give yourself a chance, because we liked the play call and we felt good about going in. It was something that we felt good about. Obviously, it didn't go our way that time, but I think it's something that we'll continue to look at and make sure we're giving ourselves options. I think that's the biggest thing in those scenarios is giving Josh the ability to work some different options and not just locked into one guy.
Yes, sir. One more, if I may, coach. 40 passing attempts to 10 rushes. How did this team get back to being a little bit more balanced this week?
Yeah, I think just being able to extend some drives there and create some opportunities on driving the football and those couple 3 and outs early in the game, obviously kind of hurt us right there. And then you get into the end of the game and when you're down, you got to start throwing it a good amount. So then those numbers get skewed even more. So it's one of those things we gotta make sure we're being effective. First, second down, converting on third down, extending drives. So that you can incorporate that game and that balance and do those types of things that we've been good at in the first few games of the year.
Thank you for your time, coach. Good luck this week.
Thanks.
Hey, coach, I just want to piggyback on something Matt was talking about earlier and ask you about the play action and under center. And is that something when you decide what the best balance is that more about what you do better or feel more comfortable in, or what the defense and the opponent might dictate for you to do throughout the week when you prepare? I hope my question makes sense.
No, yeah, and I think it's a little bit of both. I think you're always looking at what the opponent is and kind of how we can best attack them. Not only from a schematic passing game standpoint, but a protection standpoint and a run game standpoint. So that's obviously a big factor. And then obviously when you go from there and you want to make sure that your guys feel supremely confident in what you're running. So I think it's a balance between the two of, hey, what can we do to attack a defense and take advantage of what we're going to see, but at the same time making sure our guys are comfortable with it from a operational standpoint, from a execution standpoint.
And then Osiris, he's played so terrific this year. Seemed like he struggled a little bit more than usual yesterday, but just my observation. But if you have a young player like that who might have that type of situation, what's the conversation from you to him after he's experienced so much success early on in his career in the first few games?
I think it's everybody. It's all, not only Osiris, but a lot of our younger guys, guys who are rookies, guys who are in their, second year. It's like, it's early in your guys' career. There's going to be these things that we just got to continue to grow from and learn from. And I think that we've got a group of guys that, is determined to continually improve and get better. And that they're going to come back to work on Wednesday, ready to roll. I thought today was good to get in, watch the film, and make these corrections. And so guys can see it and get the coaching that they need to get. So we got to continue to do that, coach our guys, make sure we're correcting things and making sure that we're learning and growing from these experiences, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. So Osiris, we came in, did a great job in terms of being locked in meetings, and I think he's going to grow from not only this game, but all these experiences will just keep stacking for him.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's all the questions for today. Thanks, Ken.
All right. Thank you.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.